All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is that time we've been waiting for. Folks, you know what's been happening in our country? If you're confused, if you about what's happening, if you require some more insight and some peel back the layers to understand exactly what's happening, well, I tell you, you are in luck. Tonight we have Mr. Barnabas Boyd, who's a political advisor as well as a political analyst, and he's here to help us understand exactly where we are, how we got here, and perhaps what we should be looking out for in the days to come. Karibu sana.
Welcome to us.
How are things in the part of Kenya that you occupy?
Well,
I'll tell you, on my side, things are hot and hotter.
It's the way you are seeing them.
It's the same way?
Yes.
All right. First, perhaps I want to just kind of get your views on, what a lot of Kenyans have been looking at today. Many eyes were focused on what was happening in the courts. Without necessarily compromising that, what's your perspective on what is happening right now?
Okay, good evening, viewers. I think most importantly is I would deal largely with the political aspects of this issue. I would leave the legal issues to the lawyers and the rest of the people who are in court.
Right, indeed.
But the decisions, or what has happened is that we have an impeached deputy president, and we have a duly nominated deputy president about to be sworn in, and it's only a matter of time before everything in court settles, and Professor Kindiki Kithure will be the new deputy president of Kenya.
It looks like we're talking about a tale of two DPs. And so if we were to analyze the contrasting situations of the deputy presidents, what insights do you think Kenyans should draw from the events in Kwale on Sunday morning, and then the events in Karen still on Sunday afternoon? How do these events symbolize the broader political narratives at play?
It's all politics, and as a matter of fact, I think the relationship between the president and the deputy has broken, and there is no working relationship anymore. Mm-hmm. If I was advising the former deputy president, it would be that you would be finding redress in court not to be brought back as a deputy president, but as to the validity of his impeachment, if at all there was any violation in that process. But as a matter of fact, I think the President Ruto administration is keen on having Professor Kindiki as the next deputy president. And it's only a matter of time before the courts confirm. And once the orders are vacated, then Professor Kindiki will be duly sworn in as the third deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. Right.
And as we look at things right now, it looks like the obstacles that the impeached deputy president is facing just seem to keep mounting up in the form of, now we're looking at the internal party mechanisms of the UDA rejecting Gachagua's leadership role as deputy party leader. What do you make of this move, and what implications might it have for his political future as well as the party's unity?
Truth be told, I think what Kenyans don't know is that the former deputy president was very antagonistic of his boss and many members of the Kenya Kwanza administration.
Really?
Yeah. And
despite what we were seeing?
No. I mean, that is just what is in public, but in actual sense, he was really an antagonistic deputy president. I don't think anybody would want to work with him. We wish him luck in his in his future political alignment with any other political groupings. The focus of Kenya Kwanza administration is to move away from this impeachment story and focus on delivering for the people of Kenya in the next few years before the next election.
There appears, I mean, for anyone who's looking at this scenario, they're thinking to themselves and wondering, at some point, this was the man that was chosen to actually, vie for the ticket. We understand there was a bit of debate on who should have been the running mate, but eventually, by whatever means, it was arrived at Rigathi Gachagua. I want you to help a lot of Kenyans who are seemingly a little confused. To quote a book that a lot of Kenyans have read, Things Fall Apart, at what point did the rain start beating Rigathi Gachagua? At what point did it go so wrong that the internal mechanisms, you know, the mediation, if any, the personal relationship between the two, if any, broke down? What point?
My thinking is Professor Kindiki Kithure was the ideal candidate for deputy president. But the events surrounding the events around the 2022 elections, where the Azimio coalition nominated Honorable Martha Karua as the running mate, changed the dynamics around Kindiki, and a lot of people would be cautious that it would be easier to sell to the folk in Mount Kenya that your support for the deputy president is, for the current president is in vain because he has not even considered you for number two. While for the Azimio coalition, you have a person who is you don't support, and he has given you number two. I think that is actually what changed the dynamics around Professor Kindiki. But then within no time, the former deputy president was found guilty of 5 counts of gross misconduct, and including corruption, insubordination, and his fate is sealed politically. He can, maybe if the courts can give him a new lease of life, then he can find his chance elsewhere.
Right, but again, I'm looking at this chronology of events. For example, we go back to the inauguration in 2022. He's sworn in as deputy president alongside President Ruto. You know, of course, late 2022, we're seeing him just kind of taking a prominent role in the administration. We're seeing him getting up very early in the morning and, you know, just kind of trying to show that. And then we start to hear some controversial statements, public statements, particularly concerning opposition leaders, government critics, the former president, and so on. And then we start to see some allegations of corruption surfacing about his past financial dealings, alleged corruptions, and so on and so on. I want you to help us understand, I mean, clearly what the public perceived through the media and through observing the two was very, very different from what was happening behind the scenes. When you say antagonistic, what exactly do you mean?
I think for Kenyans to understand what I mean, you remember during the swearing-in ceremony at Kasarani, immediately after he was sworn in, he went to attack the retired president, Uhuru Kenyatta, who had actually handed over power to the current president. It was totally uncalled for, that is his nature. To the issue of having shareholders in Kenya, where Kenya is a unitary state, and the purpose is that as soon as you assume office, you serve everybody, those who voted for you and those who did not vote for you. But the deputy president was of a contrary opinion that you can only serve people who voted for you in exclusion of the other part of Kenya. And so the president was at a position where, how do you move forward? Do you move forward as a unitary state? Do you move forward as one united country? But you have a deputy who is divisive and now trying to blackmail the president in terms of appointments, in terms of who comes to government. And I think it's on public record that you would oppose certain people because he's from an area that did not vote for this administration. So I think it is important for Kenyans to understand that the Parliament and Senate made the right decision in impeaching Deputy President Gachagua.
Okay, so a lot of people are wondering also, I mean, the silence of the president in this entire process is quite significant. What should we make of it as a person who actually perhaps would know what's going on in his mind?
The president has no business commenting on what Parliament and Senate has done. That is the work of Parliament, that's the work of Senate. There was public participation. Majority of the people who were interviewed supported the impeachment of the Deputy President. I think Kenyans will see a new lease of life when Professor Kindiki Kithure is sworn in as the third Deputy President. And I have seen there's a lot of discontentment in Mount Kenya, where the Deputy President Gachagua comes from. One, all projects to Mount Kenya, nobody has stopped it. All people who have from that region are still in government. The last appointment, significant appointment by the President was that of Inspector General, he nominated Kanja, and Kanja comes from Mount Kenya. All the ongoing road projects, including the Mau Mau Road, including the dwelling of the Thika Nyeri Highway, are ongoing. So there is only a problem with one individual, but the president has no problem with the people around Mount Kenya. And I think people should understand that they are not going to lose anything by Rigathi being impeached.
Okay, you say that, but the people we've been speaking to, if you look at the social media, what they call social listening, if you go to the ground, we're starting to see a trend where the public or certain sections of the public are shifting in terms of their perception of the whole thing based on the press conference that Honorable Gachagua made the night before he showed up in Parliament, and also the press conference that was given on Sunday at Karen Hospital, in addition to everything that happened in the upper and lower house. Are you concerned, perhaps, that the support base of the president is shifting, courtesy of what is happening right now?
It's only a matter of time before everything shifts, and in the fullness of time, Kenyans will know the truth.
What is the truth?
The truth is that what the former Deputy President is saying is not correct. Nobody, to the best of my knowledge and to the best of the information I have, nobody tried to poison him. The only problem in Kisumu is that while he realized that maybe some conversation of him and the legislature from Rift Valley had been listened to, that is the time he came up with the story of food poisoning to water down on the alleged conversation which they had, which was in direct insubordination. So I don't think nobody in their right mind would want to poison the Deputy President. For what purpose? What do you gain when he is poisoned? I think he's just whipping the emotions of the public, and in the fullness of time, Kenyans will know the truth.
Is there a plan to hold him to account for these allegations, if they are incorrect, as you say?
The current...
This is a big allegation.
So the big allegation would be police will investigate, because those are very serious claims. And the only thing is that it is for the public to be informed that whatever the former Deputy President was saying is not correct. Otherwise, nobody would hold him to account. And I do not know how the former Deputy President would want to be given protection by the same security agencies he actually says they want to kill him. Why would you want to get protection from the very people who want to kill you? Why would you want to work with the president if the president, as you indicated, wanted to kill you? Why would you want to come back as a deputy president? I think somebody must have lied to the deputy president. The best option for him was to resign at that point in time. That would have saved his political future, maybe, if he had any.
It was reported widely that Kisumu was quite pivotal in the sense that there was a conversation, just like you've said, there was a conversation with an unnamed, as of now, Rift Valley legislator, and somehow the content of that conversation was listened to or recorded, and it was enough to cause something of a shift in how things were. Was he under suspicion before for his conversation to have been monitored?
Yes, there was reason to believe that this guy was not working in tandem with what the president wanted, and started isolating part of the country, started causing divisions in government, started bringing the issue of shareholding, which was totally against the president, because the president wants a unitary state. You know, it is in the best interest of Kenyans to be peaceful, to be united, and I would be worried of those people who support him. I would leave it to, and I've said, in the fullness of time, people will know the truth about the former deputy president. He is not well-meaning. I would not want, the current president was in similar situations under President Uhuru Kenyatta. At no time did he go to Rift Valley to whip emotions of his own community to fight other Kenyans or to isolate them from. In fact, he preached unity more. He preached more that we support government, though nobody wanted him to advance any reason. There's a time he was shortchanged that ministers would be given priority over him, but still he maintained his cool, and he never antagonized the president at any given point, but he just charted his own political course and spoke to the people of Kenya.
All right, all right. We want to take a short break for us to kind of digest where we are, and then we'll be right back after these messages. Please keep it right here.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
to hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Hey there, friends.
I think people are still processing the events that led to this impeachment. And people will soon realize that the MPs and senators were right in impeaching the Deputy President, Gachagua. And
you seem quite confident of that.
Yeah, and
why do you think? How are you able to be so certain about what you think people will, how they'll perceive this whole thing?
For example,
expecting more to happen?
Like the events preceding the Senate proceedings, where for some reasons he disappeared, and we were told he was in Karen Hospital, and the multiplicity of suits filed by his lawyers to stop and impede any progress on his impeachment. And it just points to one thing, that the former Deputy President wants this government to fail. And you know, if government fails, it shows that the people of Kenya have failed. And the spirited attempt by his lawyers to make application as to whether the bench was constituted by the Deputy Chief Justice or the Chief Justice, and that they want the bench to recuse themselves from hearing the case, all are just schemes to delay this process further. And they don't want the truth to happen. They want just to delay and cause a crisis, a constitutional crisis. That is what the former Deputy President stands for. He had called an opportunity to resign and maybe explain himself to the people of Kenya, but he allowed Parliament to initiate the process. Now Senate confirmed it. He had an opportunity, but he chose not, and gave some reasons as to why he was not available. He was in court today, very healthy and very jovial. You can't even know that he was sick on Friday. And I think there will be a lot of issues around and reorganizations. And I think the people of Kenya, in the fullness of time, they will know the truth about this impeachment process. It was worth it. And for the support base of the president in Mount Kenya, nothing has been lost. it's only the position of the deputy president. But every other program, cabinet secretaries from Mount Kenya region, and we don't intend that that will change. Nothing will change, and because in terms of budgetary allocation, if there were programs that government is supporting in Mount Kenya, they're still on. If the people in Mount Kenya region who are still serving in government, they're serving in government. So, and Professor Kindiki is also from Mount Kenya, so I don't see any reason why people should be worried. But you see, one of the other issues which is coming to the fore is the ethnic balkanization of the country, and even in terms of what is happening in court, if you could read deeply, it borders on ethnicity, and even the reason why, my thinking is that the reason even why they want the judges to recuse themselves is because they feel the same narrative that they always have, that it has to be somebody close to them to hear their petition.
Okay, fair enough. Here's another question. Clearly, there's a lot of focus on the transition, but there's a man that very few people are talking about directly, and that's the Deputy President designate, Kithure Kindiki. What is it about him? Earlier you said, you expect a much more rejuvenated government post this process. What is it about him that makes him the absolute best bet for Deputy President, especially in the current political environment, and considering, of course, what you said earlier, that he was the original choice of the president? What is it about him?
Okay, first, Kindiki is an accomplished lawyer, a professor of law, and is not polarizing like the former deputy president. He is more appealing to the people of Kenya. He is more consultative in his approach of issues. He is more listening. And you will be surprised that even among our elected members of parliament, most of them did not visit the office of the deputy president because of his appraisive nature and the way he dealt with them. And save for a few of his parties, I don't think that office welcomed most of the people of Kenya. I think people would prefer dealing with the president directly than the deputy president. There will be a lot of difference when Professor Kindiki Kithure assumes the office. That office will be more welcoming to people from all over Kenya, not from a certain region. And I think there will be a lot of synergy between the president and the incoming deputy president, and the presidency will work seamlessly towards realizing what they promised the people of Kenya.
What do you think are the long-term implications of this transition that is happening? There are those who say this is a very pivotal moment in our political history. As a political analyst, and as all political analysts are, you're probably a historian as well. Talk to us about what you think will be the final footnote of this process, say 2 or 3 years down the road, looking back.
All factors constant, the current president, William Ruto, will still be elected president again in 2027. That I say without any doubt in my mind. And by a vast majority of Kenyans. And
why do you think so?
You see, it's a question, when he assumed office, there were a lot of challenges which he focused on. And he extended the goodwill to most people who were either serving in government or who he had appointed for these positions. But if I had said in this show previously that there are people who let down the president, either by sabotaging his agenda or by not doing what was expected of them to serve the people of Kenya. And I'm hoping that with the current development, there will be more changes coming, more swift and decisive changes that would give an impetus to what the president wanted to do for the people of Kenya. And it is my opinion that maybe in another 2-3 years, people will see the difference. And the things which the president has been able to achieve, like the cost of living, the inflation, price of food coming down, all those price of fuel, the exchange rate, that all of those are not being brought to the public. But what has been, I mean, the most important news is this impeachment. Considering we had subsidies before, we don't have subsidies now, and we are able to get things at cheaper prices. The president took decisions which have helped us move forward. The debt level in our country was extremely high. We had to remain, the most people had anticipated a default in repayment. But the president was able to pilot the ship safely. We did not default. We are not in debt distress right now. I think the other issue just would be focus on the things that they promised the people of Kenya.
Let me ask you a different question from what we're talking about. Do you know the president personally?
Yes.
You know what people say about him? What is written, what is posted, what to some degree the deputy president alluded to and all the leaders around him? Would you say that the perception of the public on the person of the president is accurate or not?
It depends on which side you are leaning politically, because it's not the first time that the president is called names. He's been called names before. It doesn't mean that he is what people say. The president is well-meaning. The only problem is that you cannot work with somebody who is so antagonistic as his former deputy president. I mean, given the circumstances, if I was president, I would do the same. And just have parted ways and chart a new political path with a new person, so that you are able to work together in tandem with them. And like I have said, it's only a matter of time before everything comes to the fore, and the people of Kenya will make a decision as to whether what the former deputy president is saying and what people are writing on social media about the president. We are a very different country where somebody can write anything about you and there are no consequences.
Are we misunderstanding this man that is our president?
Absolutely.
Why do you say so?
Because, look, from what has happened is that every agenda of this has been either sabotaged by people who have gone to court. Like even today we had a decision on the 3-judge bench on the housing levy. It's a very ambitious program. It wants to eradicate slums. It wants to create jobs. It wants to give Kenyans dignity for how they live. But then at every opportunity, people who are not supportive of him, I found a new avenue to frustrate all government programs in court. Anything. I can tell you, as urgent as the IEPC composition, people were in court. Even if a new process now of recruiting those commissioners will come, people will go to court to stop it. Everything that, like all government agenda, those people who never agreed with the president just found an avenue that for you to frustrate government, you have to stop everything in court. And it's intended that this delay will frustrate this re-election bit. But we are moving one stride at a time. We hope to accomplish what we promised the people of Kenya.
Sorry to dwell on this a little bit, but the current environment has brought a sharp focus on the actual personalities of the people involved. Can you tell us more about the president, and particularly what he's thinking about right about now? What kind of leader navigates a process like this?
I think the president wants good for the people of Kenya. That's all you have to know. In fact, some of us who are the biggest supporters of the president I've always wanted the president to crack the whip and make sure that people deliver on what he promised the people of Kenya. We thought it had taken so long. That would be, Gachagua's impeachment would be just the tip of the iceberg. I think there is more that is coming.
There's more changes.
There are more changes that fundamental I mean, like, if I was to advise anybody working in government, you either do the right thing or you ship out. I mean, fundamentally, that is what we're supposed to do.
So the tide of change is coming?
Is coming, and in a big way.
The president is remaking or reshaping the government.
Of course, he needs to deliver to the people of Kenya. But the current situations where you bring in somebody in government with instructions that you should only listen to me, and that is what even happened. And I think it's good for people to know that even among the people who the former deputy president nominated to either cabinet or the PS positions, you would give them some very contrary directions as to what government is supposed to do. And some of those people had to reach the president that this is what your deputy is telling us to do. And the president had to make the right decisions.
I want to give you an opportunity. If you had a chance to talk to Kenyans about what you think is going to happen in this way. So imagine you have a sit down with Rigathi Gachagua, private sit down. What are you telling him? What advice are you giving him? And what do you think he's actually going to pick out of your advice?
It's not in my place to advise him. The best chance for me to advise him would have been to tell him to resign before he was impeached. It's a daunting task to overturn an impeachment, and it will take him years to overturn that impeachment. You see what happened to Songo, you see what happened to former Governor Waititu. You are not eligible to stand for any elected position or to hold public office once you are impeached. The best thing would have been that he accepts his bet and goes back to be an ordinary citizen. I mean, he stands no chance to come back as a deputy president. He stands no chance of being elected as a president of this country with that polarizing attitude. The best thing would be that he just stays back as an ordinary citizen.
Mm. Okay, you as an advisor, once again, now you are sitting with the president. What advice are you giving him?
He starts to tell him to crack the whip and make people do what they're supposed to do. We have to re-engineer the civil service to work for the people of Kenya. We have to make sure that every department of government works for the people of Kenya. We should be able to use resources prudently. You should be able to crack the whip on corruption. You should be able to make sure that, I would want a situation where all arms of government work for the common good of the public. When judiciary is used as a stumbling block to service delivery, it worries everybody. Much as we say that judiciary interprets the law, judiciary has no business stopping government from discharging its mandate. Just like government today cannot say judiciary will not listen to cases in court today. We respect the judiciary. We expect the judiciary to be more respectful of the government. And for example, there was a judge who stopped the finance bill. I think it was Justice, I don't remember the name, but anyway, I don't want to mention a name here. But stopping the finance bill, and finance bill is how government raises revenue, meaning you are even stopping judiciary from accessing that money. You can't make a decision in a vacuum. Kenya does not exist in a vacuum. You are stifling the government of how to raise resources to fund county governments, to fund the judiciary, to meet the debt obligations, I would advise the president to really be very firm in dealing with the issues that affect the people of Kenya. And he should leave no chance for people to give excuses or not doing the right thing.
Right. Okay. Here's your camera. I want you to speak to Kenyans from your mind, from your heart, from your insight. There are lots of concerns, there are lots of fears, there are lots of uncertainty. If you could shed some light on some of these things, what would you say to Kenyans? There's your camera.
I would want Kenyans to be hopeful, and especially the restless people of Mount Kenya. The president is well-meaning. All the budgetary allocation to Mount Kenya region is intact. All the people who are from Mount Kenya are still serving in government. This is a political process, and the president needed to take that decision for him to work and deliver for the people of Kenya. You have 5 years of his term, and from that time you will make a decision, and there will be visible results for him to come back to the people of Kenya and tell them that I was able to achieve this within my term. I would, if we support the government, I'm sure in another few years, we will not have slums. We will have people living with dignity in Kenya. We will have people accessing quality health care. We will have people, being proud that this administration is after them well.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, sir, for coming. Thank you for your insight, thank you for your feedback, and thank you for giving us your views on what's happening in the country right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had Mr. Barnabas Boyd, a political analyst and advisor. I hope you have had a bit of insight into what's happening and perhaps what is going to happen.